Hey everybody, Anthony here from Lights Camera Ascension, and I just want to kind of fill you guys in with a little bit of what's going on here. So, most recently, I've been filming more public investigations, and actually, the most recent ones I went to were with Brian and Richel Stratton from A&E Ghost Hunters. So for those of you who haven't seen any of our videos yet, my name is Anthony Lizer, and I'm a professional filmmaker and a paranormal investigator. I've been investigating the paranormal since I was about 15 years old, and I've been behind a camera since I was about 10. But I used to work at Pilgrim Studios, and Pilgrim Studios, for those of you who don't know, is a reality TV company in North Hollywood, California. And basically, they made Ghost Hunters, Ghost Hunters International, and by the time I started there, actual Ghost Hunters had just stopped, and we just got back their equipment, which is kind of cool. You know, I was a huge fan of Ghost Hunters growing up, and to actually be there holding the same equipment that they've been using over all these years, just totally cool, super cool. So at Pilgrim Studios, I ran the stage, and a part of my job sometimes was to film the casting auditions. And this is where Brian and Richel from the A&E version of Ghost Hunters comes into play. So a few years back, I was setting up for these casting interviews, and when we're casting for a show, it's a camera, and then just so everyone who's in there can see what they look like on camera, there's a big monitor with the shot that I have, which is usually a tight shot. And then there's the CEO of Pilgrim, there is one of the producers of the show, there's the casting people, and then there is a network executive there. And basically they go through, they interview them, and I didn't know this, but what I had learned over the weekend was that Brian and Richel, they had no idea what they were being casted for. They only knew that they were obviously auditioning for a show about ghost hunting, but they didn't know that it was actual ghost hunters. So that was kind of cool to learn, and it was really cool to hear them reminisce about that time, about being casted, because, you know, it's like no time has passed. It feels like no time has passed, to be honest, but they've gone out and done so much that, like, it's insane to me how many years have passed. So enough of me rambling here. I'm gonna go ahead and hop into some of this video. I am doing it this way because there's a lot that happened, and I didn't get the proper amount of footage that I think that I needed to make this into sort of like an episode. So I wanted to just kind of introduce this stuff here, and then I'll go ahead and start showing you guys some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. I left Chicago around like 9 in the morning to drive to St. Joseph's, Missouri, and that's about 7.5 hours. I got there in no time. And it's actually really funny. I pulled up to the hotel only to see Brian and Richel standing in the parking lot. Now, I park the car, I get out of the car, I'm standing outside of my car, kind of like gathering some things, hoping to stay out of the car long enough that they look over and notice me, and then I'd be like, oh, hey, you know, I drive over there, talk shit. That didn't happen. So they ended up not looking over at me, so I had some bags out, and I was like, well, I'll just check in, and then I'll come back out and move my car, and I'll just drive over there. But unfortunately, I came back downstairs from my hotel room, and they were gone. So I was able to head over to the Tootle Mansion, which was the first location in the same day that I drove. It started at 7 p.m., so I ended up getting over there around like 6:30, parked outside, walked in, and then I just started walking around and did my own little walkthrough. And I'm filming B-roll, and everything seems relatively normal. And Then I go into this room and there's a giant bear with a top hat. Now, I don't get the best of shots of it, but it's... I didn't know why it was there. That's my main point to this, is I was confused on why there was a giant bear with a top hat in here. I didn't know the history of this place, so I think it's important to mention, once again, I'm going to mention the show, Hellier. I'll always talk about it, and it seems like it came up again, but on the drive to Missouri, I put on a couple of Hellier, or podcasts where they talk about Hellier. I believe it was called Weird Sciences Podcast. They did a great interpretation and the kind of like dissection of Hellier itself, the series. So that was really cool to listen to. And, you know, like, I don't know, Hellier on the brain. I show up there and I'm about to go up the stairs, and lo and behold, I see three-toed footprints. Now, it's clear to me, obviously, there's some sort of bird thing, like a bird footprint, but it was just weird, and weird timing, obviously, that I go to this building where I have no history, I don't know anything about, and there's three-toed footprints. So the footprints to me stand out because they looked very similar to what I saw in Hellier. Now, in Hellier, they investigate these goblin-like creatures, which in all reality could be some sort of interdimensional being, but then again, that's a story for another time. But these creatures were said to have had these three-toed footprints. Now, at the end of Season 2, this is where you see my resemblance. This is, yeah. So you can see they're drawing the sigil on the wall in the three-toed footprint kind of style there. So it's just super weird for me. So I go up the stairs, and I'm kind of still in awe, and I'm looking down at the ground the whole time, and I get up to the level. I'm not even looking. I pass this lion, and I don't even realize it. I go into this other room, and I see a tiger, and I'm like, well, where the fuck am I? This is terrifying. I would have never thought there's a lion or a tiger in here. And after I see the tiger, of course, I spot this man skinning a fox. Now... Once again, I'm still confused on what this place is, but the weird thing that's pointing out to me is that I have this fox necklace that I had just purchased. It's hand sculpted, and it has a piece of labradorite inside of it. So on the drive, I actually had two of those pieces on me. One was a black cat, and one was a fox. Now, I put them in my hanging in my mirror so they can charge in the sunlight while I was driving there. And when I got there, I decided to leave the fox in the car, and I actually kept the black cat necklace on me, as well as this hagstone that I have that reminds me of a heart. So I don't know why I wear these things, but I do. They're supposed to be labradorite is supposed to be good for protection, and going into these locations, I have no idea about the history, so I don't know what's supposed to be there. I don't know if there's anything negative or any sort of energy that I don't really want to fuck with being there. So it's better safe than sorry to try to protect yourself before we go in. So I can't believe that they have a lion here. Like, as soon as you walk into this floor. Now, here's the weirdest thing about it. Let me show you. Look at my shirt. So, yeah, I don't know what that means, but it's definitely strange to me. So, I've never filmed a lion before. Unfortunately, it is past. The only other weird thing to me that kind of connected with all this weird synchronistic feline type stuff that's happening around me was a couple days before going to this investigation. I think it was actually probably the day that I was booking the hotels. I sat and I meditated, and about 10-15 minutes in, I started seeing this very strange, like, angular face. I don't know how else to describe it, but it came down alien-ish, but it was like it came down to the point, like, in the nose. I don't know. To me, it looked like a sort of feline being or face, but it wasn't like a cat face, but it was I don't know how to explain it. I saw that, and then at that moment, it was actually the moment that I had made the decision to bring the black cat necklace with me, because I, to be honest, wasn't planning on bringing that one, because when I was wearing it, a few weeks ago, I felt really weird, so I don't know if it needed to be cleared or something. So maybe that car ride really helped with amplifying the energy. The last thing that I thought that I thought was weird from this was the Point Pleasant / Hellier connections that continuously just start to come up. And that's another thing that Brian and Richel talked about. When they were doing the Q&A, they were asked questions about sleepless unrest. And they were asked questions about the Conjuring home and, kind of like the after effects. Now, they said something that really rang true to me, which is there's always something that keeps poking at you to either go back or just keeps showing itself and making you connect the dots that connect you back to that said location. So for me, it's like a Point Pleasant with all the feline stuff and the three-toed footprint. It was just super weird. And just the cherry on top, I went back the next morning to shoot drone footage. Now, as I'm setting up for the shot, go ahead and take a look. As you can see, there is a cat. Watch the cat. It's just walking through. And it just goes back, goes around. As I'm still trying to set up the shot, here it goes, and as soon as it disappears behind these stairs is when I start my shot. Pretty good shot, isn't it? I mean, I thought so. But that's just another weird thing that happened. So on the walkthrough, I learned some of the history, and Elijah from Apex was great. He was able to give us the history of the place, as well as some other little tidbits on things that people have experienced and seen at the location. As for the investigation itself at the Tootle, Brian and Richel, they wanted to gather everybody and do a big EVP session, so we did that. We gathered everybody.
Facing down. Okay.
All set up?
Wait, is that the infamous music box?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Is everybody in their area? Okay, we're going to start asking questions here in just a couple of seconds. All we're doing is if something happens in your room, you just let us know, and then you can direct the questions from your room to see if we can't get into this area and figure out what's going on or whatever. Deal?
Deal. If you guys move in your room and make a noise or your stomach starts doing something weird, let us know. Just say, hey, that was me, so we don't think it's paranormal. Please and thank you.
Here we go.
There wasn't really too much that happened that I can recall. I know when we split up into groups, there was a time when Brian kept hearing footsteps inside of this other room. And as he's investigating inside the room, I'm filming him from the other doorway. And the woman in front of me says that she hears an
I
exhale.
don't know who I am. I get it.
Did you just hear somebody exhale?
Did I hear it?
All right, if you didn't hear that, I'm going to go ahead and play it a couple more times.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Now, we can't rule out anyone else in the rooms, but it's hard for me to just skip over the fact that that kind of sounds like a breathy roar.
Hey, did you guys make a noise down there?
No.
No?
That was weird.
We're having them down here too, boss.
Yeah, boring in the boss comment. Listen, I like the boss talk.
Yeah, boss.
I'll support it.
When you say boss, I barely.
Mr. Moss?
What is happening?
Who?
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Listen to me. Okay? I have to do this. I literally, I called him boss.
I know, that's why I'm making fun of you.
We all heard it.
And I went like this, okay? And I said, boss, that's so stupid or whatever. And something went.
I told you I heard that twice. Like in your face. I told you.
You just break
Again?
Did you say you heard that?
I told you just like 2 seconds before you went in there. I said, did anybody hear that exhale? I was just gonna rip your pants.
So you could see how he froze up, that clearly something had happened. And to be breathed on in the face like that, I'm good. You know, I don't really, I don't need that. Seems a little extra for me when all we're really doing is asking for, people to talk or make noises for us. But getting breathed on in the face is definitely gonna, freeze you up. So good on Brian for reacting the way he did, because I probably would have freaked out.
Yeah,
she was sitting down.
Right there. I was sitting there, and it looks like the shadow went like this.
Shifted.
And every time it went this way. So, like, it doesn't even work. The lighting that's getting casted up there isn't coming from this way. It's coming from that.
And it's not even.
Because this window's gonna cast my shadow over here.
Yeah.
Will one of you go sit where I was sitting and me standing here? See if you see the shadow in there?
Where are we sitting at? What?
Right
where my
here,
recorder
right
is.
at the corner.
There.
Yeah, because like from that angle, it's kind of like this section, and that's it.
So what you're saying
You would
is,
have to be able to cast a shadow on this square. These 4 squares.
Yeah, that center window.
so what you're saying is something passed lower.
Yeah, something past like.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Wait, where is it now?
It's right there.
So basically what just happened was we were sitting out in the hallway, and Richel saw a shadow figure pass in front of that mirror right in the center. Now the mirror is angled upwards and at an angle, and we're trying to sit here and figure out what could have caused the shadow in that light that is being shined on the ceiling. Took us a while to figure out what window and what light it was actually coming from, and the way that the shadow moved made no sense. Well, wait. It still went from. Said it went from left to right. So it had. So basically, what you're seeing is us trying to debunk the shadow that she saw.
It's not going.
It'd have to be like coming down like that, right? Like kind of like.
That's still not going the right direction.
And at the end of it, we weren't able to actually debunk it. And then at the end of the night, Brian and Richel wanted to try a almost Estes-like type method. But you have multiple people listening to the same SB7 spirit box. The spirit box scans through the radio frequencies, so what they're listening to is the radio frequencies just scanning over and over and over and over, going over, all of the stations within, a matter of seconds. We're seeing if they are going to respond with the same answers, if they're hearing the same things, or if it's choosing to only try to communicate with one person, even though the audio is being split out from the same SB7. Now, I think it's only fair to mention that the Estes method was actually created by Carl and Connor from Hellier. And I give Richel and Brian props for being able to switch it up a bit, let alone bringing that experiment into a public investigation. It was actually really cool. We did get some weird responses, and I'm going to go ahead and just play some of the cool ones here.
It's 2022.
What year is it for you?
1.
I got one earlier, right here. Those literally the number 1. It said 1 and then wanted.
What room are you in? Can you tell us what room you're in?
Wall.
Wall.
That's kind of cool. Are you hiding in the wall?
How'd you get in the wall?
1.
Do you know who Edmund is?
Here's Ed.
Here's Ed. Ed, are you here? Or Edmund?
Doing the Estes method is pretty freaky, let me tell you, because I think watching it afterwards is even more freaky if you're the one sitting in and saying it, because when you're in it, you don't know if you're just saying nonsense or if you're actually giving the people proper answers to the questions that they're asking. So, and the fact that you can't see them, you can't hear them asking questions, you don't know what they're asking, that definitely, adds to it and adds to the weirdness of it. Each headphone set was pretty loud, okay? So when Pam was responding, she started to yell out, and it caught us all off guard a few times. So I'll just play a couple of those clips real quick because I thought that was pretty funny.
Sanctions.
Sanctions.
Okay.
That's got to do with the board.
Oh, stop!
You'll stop.
Stop what?
I thought something happened when she screamed.
What will you stop?
Stop what?
Don't say it like that.
Kill.
I didn't kill anyone. Or anything.
Are you okay with us being in your room, Edmund?
Drive.
Right! Drive right.
So don't go left?
Pam was such a sweetheart, and she was actually there for both nights. So it was really good to see her. At one point during the session, I walked out to just film some B-roll in the other room.
Hey.
Hey. What color is this room?
Could have run.
Now, I wasn't aware that I caught this EVP. I'll replay it just a couple times.
Would have fight.
Absolutely heard that.
Is it?
I actually thought that the EVP was where Richel reenacts it. I didn't find the actual EVP until editing this.
Breach?
Or even more?
Is there a lady in the room? Did you hear that?
Shit.
You know, I thought I did.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought it was someone downstairs or something. No?
Mistake.
Mistakes!
Soon after, Brian and Richel subbed in, and let me tell you, it was pretty funny. But there was actually some weird moments. They kept hearing very odd things.
We're all like, already. Sex.
Sex?
Wow.
Who's having sex?
Did somebody I heard medicine.
Who needs medicine?
Dan?
Me. Did she say Dan?
You asked the question.
No, nuts.
Numbnuts?
Oops.
Who's a numbnut?
I'm not. I just heard pussy. I'm so sorry. I heard numbnuts and pussy.
I did hear numbnuts.
What frequencies are?
I just said weird ass. Bitch.
Who's a bitch?
What over here?
Who's a bitch?
It's not me. Was she crapping?
Okay, so I kind of just want to reiterate here that they're listening to a radio that is scanning through the frequencies very rapidly. On the radio, you cannot swear. Okay, you cannot swear on the radio. Can you say the name of one of the people listening to the
Bangkok?
to the speaker?
Joe's house?
They've been calling out names like crazy today.
Crouching?
Brian?
Brian?
I ended up sitting in at the end for a while, and of course my camera stops recording. But luckily I still had this other camera angle.
Who's the guy outside with the little people?
Adam.
Adam? Okay.
That was so good. Was it too loud?
It was very loud,
Yeah.
but I couldn't hear anything.
That's good.
Yeah.
My eardrums are blowing out.
Some dude was revving his car out there.
Oh, really?
And I said, who's the guy with the small peepee out there? And as soon as I finished, he said, Adam. Really? No fucking way. Yeah.
Should we go out and confirm? So I just want to shout out Brian and Richel. Thank you guys for having me out there, and I can't wait to film some more stuff with you guys. It's always hilarious to catch up, and it's just an absolute blast. And also a huge shout out to Apex Paranormal for allowing me to film these two investigations. So if you look down in the description, there should be a link for Apex Paranormal, and they have other events that are coming up in the near future. So if you're interested in going to one of these events or one of these public events with Apex Paranormal, I would definitely do so, and just have fun. Go in there and have fun. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like it. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification for, obvious updates for whenever we release some more stuff. And just on the little cap here, the Supernormal series. I have a docu-series on the way for you guys. We experienced some really weird stuff when we went back to Point Pleasant, and a lot of stuff that happened in between those times. So I want to give you guys some details, but I can't divulge it all. So just be on the lookout. If it's not here on the YouTube channel, be sure to become a member of the LCA family over here on lightscameraascension.com. Don't forget to share these videos with people who you think would enjoy it. Even if you think people wouldn't enjoy it, share it. Help us out. The more we grow, the more we're able to go out and have these experiences to share with you. And hopefully sooner rather than later down the road, we're going to be holding events just like these public events. But we're going to kind of come at it with a little LCA twist. So just be on the lookout. If you guys are interested in coming to any events that we may potentially be holding, check out the Facebook page, check out the website, and just stay up to date with what we got. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.